Hello and welcome to Nothing Happens. I'm Dave.
I'm Tom. We have a lot of opinions, but no facts. So, we're going to do our top 5 worst...
Hang on, wait, no. We tried doing top 5 before.
Okay, yeah. We're going to do our top 3
Yeah.
worst Batman animated series episodes. We are either going to take it in turn, or we're just going to do 3, then 3. However you want to do it, Dave.
Alright.
How do you want to do it? How do you, as a person, feel like approaching this problem? You can say anytime you want. I'll tell you what, you shouldn't be taking your time with this. Why don't I take the lead on it?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay, well, I'll take the lead because I know what my favourite peeve of an episode is, and it's the bloody Grey Ghost one. Yes, I know you sigh, and I really don't like this episode, and it bugs me in every top 5 or every top 10 best episodes of this animated series that it comes up in, because I'm sorry, but it should just have... It's rubbish. I can't even find the words to describe how rubbish this episode is.
Why?
Right, why? That is the question. Firstly, everyone says it's good because Adam West is in it. And God rest his soul, he did a great job as Batman when he was Batman. But everyone goes on about you get 2 Batmen for the price of 1 in this episode. No, you frickin' don't. No, you don't. You get a ham-fisted story of trying to shoehorn this guy in just purely for the sake of getting another Batman in it. The villain is crap. The motives behind everything is rubbish. And Batman's just a big fanboy in it.
That's the bit which you really don't like. Is the fact that
It is the
Batman
bit I
being
really
a
don't like.
fanboy.
You don't want to see a hero being a fanboy. And especially don't want to see him being a... No.
But there is something about the fact that this is someone that inspired him in the same way that Batman inspires other people, kind of thing.
Yeah,
It
but
sort
you
of
don't want
brings
to...
it, to that sort of that grounded level that I guess and it also kind of shows that Bruce's life to this point wasn't just all brooding, my parents are dead, oh my god, kind of thing. It actually goes like, right, so Batman actually has some, something nice in his childhood.
No, this is post his parents, sorry, it's pre his parents dying, because he's watching it with his father. We know Bruce's child. What? Show me a billionaire child who doesn't have a nice childhood before their parents are brutally murdered in front of them. I mean, probably quite a few, depending on what their parents are like. But
yeah, I was thinking, Russian oligarchs.
Right. Okay. Well, yes. That's just. But no, I think it's a really bad episode, and I think the only reason why anyone gives it any credit is because Adam West is in it. That's not a justification for a good episode. I don't think the motives are good in it. I don't think the villain is strong in it. There's nothing that the only thing we learn is that Batman was a fan of this imaginary show. But we don't need that anyway, because for anyone who is a vague fan of Batman, or, well, not a vague fan is unfair to say, but anyone who is a fan of Batman knows that he was a fan of Zorro. So you already have that initial, how would you say, inspiration.
Sorry,
for
I've
his
just got
character.
the image in my head of Adam West being an old Zorro.
That would have been far better. That would have been so much better. But I hate that everyone says you get 2 Batmen for the price of 1, and that's really awesome. And I said that in an American accent because
I was wondering.
because no, I say that because that's just the videos I've watched have been American. There's nothing against Americans or Canadian. That could have been a bad Canadian accent as well. It's not a good justification for a good episode. A good episode is something like Almost Got Him. That makes a good episode, not the Grey Ghost. The Grey Ghost is not a good episode. It's terrible. It's bad. Dialogue is bad. The villain is bad. All of it just rubbish. Get it out of there. Get it out. Get it out. Do you want to turn down?
No. That's if you've had your say on what you think is that, then that's absolutely fine.
Oh, I haven't even had half of it, but I'm not gonna bore everybody. Go
on. My one's going to be. Oh God, I can never remember the names. The one with Croc, where
I know you with the one that you're gonna say. It's one of the ones that I like.
Where Croc runs away with the circus.
Right. Okay.
What's the name of it?
Sideshow.
Sideshow.
You hate this one,
yes.
and your complaint for always for always disliking it rather is meh.
Yes, because that is
What
because
is
because
it?
that is
That's
the
not a
entire
complaint.
thing. That is the entire thing of the entire episode. It's not that interesting an episode.
Yes, it
it's,
is.
It's an entire thing of like right. So okay. Let's compare two story arcs that are very similar here. You've got a villain who has a chance of redeeming himself and actually turning his life around that is turned against because of whatever reasons. In the case of Sideshow, you have that with Croc.
Right.
So that's where this goes. Then you have another one with Penguin, where is it High Society?
No, yes, it is called.
Yeah.
No. It's Birds of a Feather.
Birds of a Feather.
Oh,
So
you
it-
have to pick one of my favourite episodes.
Which is a
Go
really
again.
good episode.
That's so good.
Which is like entirely about how the Penguin is trying to like re-establish his life and make it into high society again. And it's like, and it's a really good, and it's the fact that he really tried and actually got made fun of. He got taken the piss out of. It was just all this kind of.
It was
thing.
used,
and he
it
was
was
used
used.
effectively as like some sort of an elephant man kind of thing of like the interest of the time effectively. And that was the thing. That was why it was a really interesting story arc to watch him go from this and to kind of go, to start off with being, I'm going to really make an effort and and it was actually, and society is to blame or whatever. High society.
Yes.
High
yes,
society is to blame. And then you have Croc's story, which is, I'm running away from Batman. I fell into a tree. I got rescued by a bunch of circus freaks and.
Okay, firstly, terrible Croc voice.
That's not supposed to be a Croc. That's just me being.
All right.
demoralising
Okay.
for the entire
Well, can I
thing.
counter?
Can you do your Croc voice? Fine. If you do your Croc voice, you're allowed to. Winston Churchill.
Well, that's who Croc's based on. No, it's not. I'm not. Well, actually, you know what it is. Fuck him. Anyway, we're not getting into politics. No, I think that Sideshow is a really great episode because it shows Batman outside of his normal habitat of Gotham City, which is something that we rarely see in the animated series.
It's
And
definitely
now-
a brighter episode. It's
That's
you're
the
not
thing.
having the
Yeah.
the black backgrounds and
Yes.
the way they sort of did the animation. I'll
Yes.
admit that it can. But once again, I kind of struggle with that because it's you're putting it in that kind of setting, but it doesn't feel right. It feels like a Superman episode.
Well, there's that, but then there's another. The other episode that I would say that does that is the Perchance to Dream, where it's the
okay.
Mad Hatter's thing.
Yeah.
And in that episode, Batman turns up during the day and is fighting criminals, which to me, like, when I even watched the episode as a child, was like, what is going on here? Batman is in during the day.
Wasn't that the whole thing of just like? Oh no, was that in the dream?
Yeah, that was in the dream.
So
But,
isn't that the whole point of that?
Well, yes,
it's
of course.
supposed to be
But yeah,
jarring. It's supposed to be wrong.
Yes,
isn't it?
just no, I get that. But so okay, I get that the colour palette didn't work, and even after my previous comment of the he's outside of Gotham City. Yes, it had happened before in the Demon's Quest. I think was an earlier episode.
Yeah, with where he goes on with Ra's al Ghul,
Which was done with Ra's al Ghul, and there was another one. What's it called? Off Balance. Is where he goes outside of Gotham City. I mean, there are ones, of
There's
course, where he goes.
precedents.
Yes, there are. It's not like this is one of the only ones, and there's only 3 or something. But this was a good chance to see Batman just outside of a city and actually just struggling, not against nature, but he doesn't necessarily know how to scale a mountain or pursue. It's just a good chasing. There's no dialogue for a long time, and it's just these two characters like pursuing each other, and that I thought was a good thing to see as Batman as a hunter. He's actually tracking Croc as an animal, which shows both sides of these characters.
Sort of how he sees Croc as an animal rather than as an actual person, which
Yeah.
the people of the circus can see past his animalistic instincts.
Of course. And then when the Croc does have that moment where he thinks he's going to nick, I think it's 50 grand from them.
It's the secret case or whatever, isn't it?
And he gets it, and then he has this moment where he looks up and he sees the posters, and there's clearly this moment of, do I really want to be doing this? These people have taken me in and have cared for me, and he puts the money back because he gets caught by the kid who doesn't see at the time that he is taking
Stealing.
it, but he does put it back, and so for me that gives the idea that, you know what, he had this idea, but the kid finds him and says, oh, what are you doing and how can I help you? And he says that he needs a blanket or something, and the kid's like, you can just be yourself out here. And so within that, him putting the money back, that's maybe him being himself, and he's like, you know what, I don't need to do that, I'm with these people now. And it's not until Batman shows up that he actually does turn, which again is the yawn thing of Batman creates his own villains. But you can't really, you need to address that at some point in an episode, because that is a big part of the Batman character. And I think that the fight between them when he goes into the wheel, like the wheel, I think
sorry, to juxtapose that with another episode with the trial of Batman.
Oh, that's so good.
That's a much better way of like sort of thinking. It's like, does Batman create his own villains as?
But that has to be good, because every villain is in it.
Okay, yeah, very true. But that to me, weirdly, does have Croc in it as well.
It does. It does.
So it's just sort of guarding the door. At the end of
the other way out is through me, and he takes him out instantly. Yeah, it's great.
But I think this is why I don't like it, because I just don't. Especially
you don't like rate him as a villain.
I don't.
Fair,
like, I think you look at him like, I think he's actually done best in the Arkham game.
He is done best.
When you go into the sewer thing and you're having to run, through, and yes,
but you've watched me do that so many times. Yes, so and I put Dave through a lot.
I wouldn't say that. It was fun to watch.
Okay.
But yeah, and I think that to me is actually like a genuine threat of what's happening. But and it's the fact he's grey as well. I really don't like that he's grey. It's just like, I don't know. It's like
it's an interesting colour palette, but I didn't like when they made him green in the new one.
But that's the
either.
Colour of a crocodile.
He didn't look right. Just looked like some big. I mean, a crocodile is a big lizard, but he didn't look. He looked more snake-like.
He's not Killer Croc in the original animated series. He's the Killer Cement Pile. It's just. Ugh. And again, links in with my whole sort of. I'm sorry. The noise that I will still make will still be.
Well, you can't hate on an episode for the. Well, you can hate on an episode for the colour palette. Okay, fair enough. Well, do you have another anyway?
No, you go next.
Okay, well, this is hard. I can't actually think of it. No, I can't think of another. No, I can't. Okay. Well, there's actually a few, really, but they come and go so slightly. The annoying thing for me that always happens within these episodes is that sometimes it verges on the point of being a bit too campy. But Grey Ghost is definitely one that I think is bad. And
if I were to go for a second one,
go for it.
It would probably be the one with the calendar.
Oh yes.
It was one of those things. It's like, right, you're picking a random villain that no one really knows about, and I was like, okay, fine, let's see where we go with this. Let's carry this on, and I was kind of on board with it to a certain extent, until it got to the giant robot T-Rex, and I was just like,
right, okay, I think it's just kind of bad in general.
Well, it's just it just kind of got to a point where I was just like, okay, I'm watching this, but I was like, hang on, this is a film prop. So the film prop is I don't know why, but the logistics of it just didn't make sense. So they've just made a giant killer Tyrannosaurus. It's like, that's not how Jurassic Park worked.
Yeah, well, especially you couldn't.
I don't know. It was just. It was a very dull episode. It didn't really go anywhere. It didn't reveal anything. It was over a massive period of time, as in the universe, as it were, which I guess you kind of had to, because it's the calendar. These different crimes happen on certain days or whatever. But I just thought they could have made it much more interesting and didn't need to focus on that bloody robot dinosaur at the end. And it was just laying on like, and it's like, right, we need it. Like, they were all there in the board meeting, like talking about the episode, and then just going, right, we need a fight scene. I want a giant killer T-Rex. Why? Doesn't matter.
I mean, it's fairly bad in terms for even that. I mean, it was obviously a redo of Calendar Man.
Yes,
for them, but it was.
I mean, bold choice to make it a woman.
But bold choice, and I think a good choice. But with the whole Easter egg thing, and just to be honest, there's quite a few. I know one as well. I'm not even going to defend that episode. I agree with you. That would, that would be in there with mine. I thought that was fairly bad and missed the mark quite a lot. I know one that you don't like, but that I really like again is the Over the Edge.
It's right. It's a really good episode.
Well, you can't start it with that.
No,
you can't lead with that because it's the worst one.
It's a very good episode. It just unfortunately has no meaning.
What? I disagree.
I'm sorry, it has no value. That's the issue. It's like, fair enough, we're kind of going along the lines of what is this alternate universe that we're in and what could happen. It's that kind of situation.
Yes.
But it's that and I'm sorry, and fair enough, it was, earlier in a time where it was all a dream, was very, sort of, especially in the 90s.
I don't know, was it? I feel like everyone wrote that into their kid's story when they were 8. Everyone did that for an ending. It was just like, and it was all a dream.
Well, it was like,
it was all a dream. And that was the time we were all told, you've got to learn your sums, and you need to know your times tables, because you won't have a calculator in your pocket in the future. Guess what?
We do.
Yeah, guess what? We bloody do.
Yeah.
And it's got a camera on it as well. So shove that up your whatever.
I love that it's not just a camera and a calculator.
Mrs. Greenwood, yeah, take that for me and my bad maths.
It's not even just a calendar. You would literally ask your phone any question and it will give you the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how about that? What about asking your phone what the worst Batman animated series episodes was? Rather than listening to this, see what Siri pulls up on that.
Not all of us from Apple.
Well, of course not, because some of us are still plebs. But I'm not endorsed by Apple. Neither of us are, by the way.
Just yelling at my phone.
No, I think Over the Edge is great, and I think it's a really good alternative because obviously DC is known for its multiverses. I think it's a very good multiverse episode, and also just the start of it. And the how Batgirl dies in it.
That is it's the way it's shot inside the car.
So you view it from Gordon's point of view. Yeah.
And it is so horrendous. There's like, if you just watch it and she just like, if it was like above the car and like, if there was a camera as it were, but it was shot from like above the car and she hits the car, that would have been bad. But it's the fact that she just slams into it and the camera is pointing from the freaking inside of the car. It is brutal.
It's really brutal, and especially the way she actually says "Dad" as well, and he suddenly clocks, "Oh my God, it's Barbara," and takes the mask off. I think that episode is great, and obviously the Scarecrow in the late one. That's one of the few things that was done.
I have to say, the later interpretation of the Scarecrow, that was the best redo of the villains,
and Killer Croc.
It was and Killer Croc is no longer great. I mean, don't get me wrong, Joker really sharp, looked like you could carve a Sunday roast on his face. I was not.
Yeah, that would
and it looked cheaper as well. That was the thing.
Really bad.
That was why I love the Injustice Joker, because they kind of made him slick but kept a lot of the original.
That was the best of both worlds, and it's arguably the
actually
best
my favourite Joker animated one has to be from the Batman Beyond film.
Yes, but we're not talking about our favourites, Dave. We're talking about the worst. We'll talk about our favourites at some other time.
Okay, so can we talk? So is there a bad Joker episode then that you want?
Yes, I could actually. Well, originally I was going to say Make 'Em Laugh, which for me there's two good parts in that episode. But I'm not going to harp too long on this one because I've thought of another one.
Okay.
But still, the two best parts in the Make 'Em Laugh episode for me is the you killed Captain Clown. You killed Captain Clown.
I thought like that was robot clown.
Yeah, I mean, which is ludicrous in itself.
It was just because like Joker's. As far as I can tell, he's never had a mechanical henchman in the entire time, and all of a sudden he's got a robotic.
Well,
clown.
arguably he did have it in Mask of the Phantasm, where he's saying to that lady, like, feeling the old electricity tonight, but then he hits the button and she starts attacking the Phantom. So like technically, but the other good part in that episode is where he gets Batman in the barrel or the tin, and he's like, "Oh, we should give him some breathing holes," and just starts stabbing the barrel randomly. I thought that's
very brutal.
It's brutal, but it's so. I mean that for me is just. And Batman's inside just dodging. It's like he knows where he's going to stab before he does it. That's how well these two know each other. So within that sort of saved that episode a bit for me, those two. No, my other one is Holiday Nights, which I don't know if you will remember or have watched, but it's part of the new animated series again. And it all essentially sort of takes place on New Year. And it's a bit of a collage of Batman apprehending all of these villains and their plans, which the Joker is in, on New Year's Eve, I think. I'm pretty sure it's on New Year's Eve.
It's not the one where he gets taken control of by Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
No. It's not. It's not that one.
Okay.
It's at least I don't think it is. So this is bad. This is why we should do research on episodes. But excuse me. The main thing that I remember is that each of these villains have plans to do whatever their dreadful deeds are on this night. Batman apprehends them, then Gordon takes them up, and then at the end of the night, they meet up for a coffee, and that's their New Year's celebration. And it sort of ends with, "Oh, we did it again, and hopefully we'll be doing this again next year," kind of thing. And to me, it's just a bit too, Adam West, Silver Age Batman of, he's doing this task and he's happy, and he is really happy to be stopping these potentially awful but sort of very camp, extravagant plans from happening in the villains, and they're just going to have a coffee at the end of it, and it's a, "You did a good job for America, son," sort of thing at the end of it. It is a very weak episode, and again, adds nothing. I don't think it's good at all. But also, there's a lot wrong with the new. What was it called? The new
adventures.
New adventures. There's bits that I thought were amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved that Nightwing was part of it, even though he has his sort of mullet. His achy breaky heart mullet. But it's but I love that Nightwing's in it. And I love his fly cape thing, and I love there's nothing I love more than a Batman and Nightwing team up, because the best thing about that team up is that Nightwing can almost go toe to toe with Batman. So while he's still a little bit under him because he feels that, because he's mentored by him, that he could handle this almost by himself. But Batman is like the big gun that you bring along to this, and I don't know, I can't really describe it more than that, but I love it that the pupil almost becomes the teacher, and that it's just this big equal force going against this. I love it, and I really like that they did that. But there's a lot that the new adventures did wrong, and I think that's where a lot of our issues lie, really, apart from the Grey Ghost, which was a big mistake and they should never have done that and was terrible, and I'm sorry, anyone who likes it should just send me a load of hate mail, because you're wrong anyway, so prove me wrong, but I'm right. So.
Which villain would you say did they get wrong the most when they did because obviously they did the change of Batman and it was like slightly different, but they completely revamped a load of villains, because my thing would be Mr. Freeze. Because it was
Spiderhead.
Well, yeah, and it was just like, because I think for me it was very much like the last good episode that had Mr. Freeze, because he had that motivation that he never had before from the original comics, was to save
Nora.
This is how I'll always remember you.
Oh, you're good at that.
Because it was, I really loved that arc, and then suddenly he became like this weird Spiderhead thing. Like, did you ever watch the Mask animated series? They had a Tim Curry character.
No, but we're not talking about that.
But that was the
we're not talking
he was like
about
a head
that.
in a jar with spider legs, and that's exactly what they did with Mr. Freeze in this. And he just stopped having any sort of interesting motivation, like, because it was completely shifted. We know what Penguin's motivation is. We know sort of what Joker's motivation is, but it's all like, it's quite consistent within that. We know what, Poison Ivy, very clear motivation, and just all of a sudden Mr. Freeze went from being Nora to I don't know.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And that's why I'll destroy it.
Yeah.
Well, this was where it sort of shot itself in the foot a bit, because Sub-Zero, if you remember that, was meant to be their swan song. And
really good film as well.
Amazing. And from what I understand, it was chosen that Mr. Freeze would be it because the animated series was the reason why Mr. Freeze got that shot in the arm, which he needed so much, and actually became the villain that we all know today, minus Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like actually, actually, someone. Yeah, sorry for bringing it up again, and sorry for everyone who heard that. But that's because of the animated series. That's because of what they did to that character. They made Mr. Freeze who he is, and so that was their swan song with Sub-Zero. And because of what happened at the end of Sub-Zero, and I'm not going to spoil it because if you haven't watched it, why are you even listening to this? But if you haven't watched it, then you really should. What happens at the end of that kind of negates his whole motivation. So then bringing him back in the new adventures, they had to redo the reason for it. And so they went with this whole thing of, well, he's just a head in a jar. Which, that was the episode that whenever I tried to watch it, I get halfway through and would just turn off and be like...
Is that the one where he attacks the club?
He attacks the museum at first.
With the weird sort of... the two women that are suddenly by
yes, suddenly he has women in fur
henchmen.
coats that for some reason stop just so you could definitely see their butts if they bent over, kind of thing. It's like
it wasn't just the revamp of him; it was also them just deciding, right, we're going to give him two hot girls as henchmen. It's like, what? Why? At what point did they go for a Gumtree job interview and just think this is what I want to do, kind of thing? It was
that was
very weird.
I mean, that was a lot of my problem with the new adventures, with that everything seemed to get quite a lot more sexualized. I mean, it was already sort of on that way, but it was still a bit of a, it had its restraints. But as soon as I think is it Bruce Timm? Like, someone's gonna send me a load of hate mail over this because I got the name wrong. But chief animator, I forget what his name. He did Killing Joke and did whatever he did.
As in the film version.
Yes, did whatever he did with that. But all of a sudden,
it's okay if you watch it from 33 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yes, but when
everything leading up to that, you might as well scrap.
It's like, well, you haven't seen the Harley Quinn film, so
no, but I've heard horror stories.
Yes, that's
something about farting in a bloody.
Well, yeah, you may call it farting. I think that's what the kids call it these days. But just all of the women are suddenly have an inch wide waist, ridiculously proportioned hips, and like these really well proportioned boobs, and all the guys just have ridiculous shoulders, and everything is
triangles.
Everyone just becomes a triangle or an upside down triangle, and it's a little bit just meh. That is there. I should probably say some words soon, but just a meh. I feel that plot went out of the window a bit with it. It's not right, but then again, I say that Mad Love is in the New Adventures, and
what they did with Scarecrow as well was way more interesting.
Yes.
Not just from what they did with his actual the character design, but the one where they negate and so they sort of flipped on his head and they sort of No Fear.
No Fear.
And that was, and all of a sudden it was like, what would happen if you lived without fear? That was a really interesting arc to suddenly for them to just to go, you know what, this character is all about making people scared, but actually what's going to happen if you take that fear away, and how would you live your life without it? Really interesting.
Fantastic. Absolutely
and
fantastic.
That was what we needed more of. It was like, right, we've stopped Mr. Freeze from having a connection with Nora, and so
God, every time you say that.
But can we give him something else? No, we're going to jam two hot girls in fur coats next to him and just do that and sell out.
I mean, personally speaking, as a straight single man, I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is that you push that into my entertainment zone when I don't need it. If I want that, I will look on other websites for that.
Right.
So I won't look on whatever for it. But anyway, and but anyway, look. The point. What we're talking about
is
right. Let's just in summary. The top 6 worst episodes of this, which probably isn't even 6 because we agreed on quite a few.
I think we only got 5 out of this.
Right, yeah, well, it was because we agreed on some. So I say Grey Ghost.
Yeah.
You say Sideshow.
Yeah.
Then we both say Holiday Season, is it? Then I say Holiday Nights.
Yeah.
And then you say Over the Edge. Okay, so we got 5. Sure, I'm just going to throw one in there for the sake of it. I'm trying to think of one that I wasn't particularly a fan of. You know what? I can't think of one. And we're not. This is not a bash.
And any episode with Mr. Freeze later in it.
Okay, well,
So
yeah,
let's
go
just-
with that. Go with that. Yeah, that one.
brings us through to half
Just
an hour.
yeah, there we go. And also, this is not a bash on the animated series. The animated series is
Oh, no.
fucking great.
Mm.
It's just that everyone praises it so much, and I think that in some ways it's praised in the wrong areas. And the whole part of what makes something good is recognizing where it goes wrong. And as fans, that's what we do. It's pointing out what's wrong. But yeah, there you go. What do you think? What do you think? What are your most hated episodes? Or do you disagree with us? Please disagree with us. Let us know. Just say. And we won't get back to you.
And there we are. Thank you. I've been Dave.
Tom.
Well, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, congratulations!
If you would like to contact us, you can do that via Instagram or email. Our email is andnothinghappens@gmail.com, and you can find us on Instagram @andnothinghappens.